And we are live at 9. James Phillips, and this morning I'm joined by what I would say is the lovely Andrea Phillips, my wife.
Hello.
And this morning we were saying a couple weeks ago, we were letting everybody know, like on Wednesdays, a lot of times we're going to plan out for Andrea to come in and talk about some things that are near and dear to us, or things that are happening around the community, like Breast Cancer Awareness Month is October, so for next week, we're going to line up some folks to come in and tell their survivor stories. And Andrea is a survivor of breast cancer now. And then at the end of the month, the last Wednesday of the month, we've got Heart lined up to come back in, and they're going to bring a counselor and talk about seasonal. The word depression, seasonal depression. The word was escaping me. And we'll be putting a graphic up on the social media pages about that, so you guys can ask different questions or how to cope with seasonal depression, and anything else that might be something that you would want to speak to a counselor about. Be happy to pass those things along. We can do that anonymously, or if you want to give your name, that's fine too, but you can send those in. When we put the post up, you can send those in on the Facebook page for WJLX. Now, today is something that we were going to talk about that is, I don't like to use the word near and dear for this to our to our hearts, but it is something that has been in our lives for a long time, and this month is actually Infant and Pregnancy Loss Awareness Month. And that's something that we've been through as a couple. Andrea and I have been married now for 26 years, and during that time we've got 5 children. Mm-hmm. But we've also experienced 5 losses as far as infant or pregnancy losses, and so. That's something that when it first happened to us back in, I think the first time we had a loss was like 2008 or 9.
Let's see. I think it was 2009.
Yeah, I think it was like Thanksgiving 2009.
Yes.
Because we were actually planning the first ever Operation Thanksgiving. We didn't call it that. We called it something else, but it was going on at The Rock, the former church that used to be downtown. And we were doing just a Thanksgiving meal for everybody to come out and eat. And it was the day before Thanksgiving, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Andrea was about 6 weeks pregnant or something like that, or was it? No, it was further than that. It was about 12 weeks.
It was 11 or 12 weeks.
And we'd gone for a checkup, and when we got there, no heartbeat on the ultrasound, and that was for a couple people who had only had perfect pregnancies. You know,
we had 3 perfect pregnancies: Stone, Breeze, and Daisy.
Right.
Everything went perfect.
We weren't expecting anything bad. Everything seemed good.
Yeah, normal pregnancy.
And we go in and boom, there's no heartbeats, and then you have to deal with that. We were planning this Thanksgiving thing, and luckily there were some very, very generous people from Glory Fellowship Church who had already been in the process with us of planning it and volunteering and helping, and they just took it over and ran with it that day, and then Glory Fellowship picked it up and have done that meal since then. So that was a cool thing to see all that come together despite what we were going through. But we're in the hospital on Thanksgiving Day eating crackers and cheese, I think, until somebody finally brought us a Thanksgiving meal over that evening. But it was a very somber day. But we had the goods of what was going on in Jasper and the bad of what we were going through. So it was a rough day. But in 1988, U.S. President Ronald Reagan declared October as a month to recognize the unique grief of bereaved parents in an effort to demonstrate support to the many families who have suffered such a tragic loss. Promoting awareness of pregnancy and infant loss not only increases the likelihood that grieving families will receive understanding and support, but also results in improved education and prevention efforts, which may ultimately reduce the incidence of these tragedies. If you or someone that you care about has lost a child to stillbirth, miscarriage, SIDS, or any other cause at any point during pregnancy or infancy, please join us all in raising awareness this October for Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. And that's what the month is all about, to let people know, hey, you're not the only one going through this. And when it initially happened to us, I feel like it was something that a lot of people didn't talk about. But we did have people come into our lives who had that happen and talked about it. And that was something that was very comforting, I know, for me, and especially for Andrea, as she was a mother going through that. So speak to that a little bit.
Um, I think you just skimmed over our story.
Well, no, I mean, we'll get back to the story. We're coming back because there's more, but I wanted to just kind of hit what this is all about first, you know. And
Yeah.
that was the first one that we went through. So
Yeah.
there's plenty more to come, but just tell how important was that first time that had never happened to us before,
Yeah.
and
Well, that's
people
what I
came
was
forward.
wanting to say is we had the 3 perfect pregnancies, and every time we went in, we heard the heartbeat on those, and everything was normal. I think I got pregnant 2 years after Daisy, our third child. Um, and so you have all those hopes. You're planning, like, I had a boy and 2 girls, so I was thinking, is this going to be another boy? And then we'll have even out. And you start thinking of names. You start thinking of, buying clothes and getting diapers and all those hopes you have for the baby. And we went in and heard the heartbeat. And then the next visit, you have to wait a month in between visits. And so that next time, the nurse went to find the heartbeat, and she couldn't find it, but we didn't think, we just thought she couldn't find it. It wasn't that big of a deal, so they called the doctor in, but the doctor could not find it. And so that really worried us, like, why can't the doctor find the heartbeat? But we still didn't really think there was anything too wrong. We went for the ultrasound, and just you could see the look on the technician's face of, this wasn't good news. And she told us that the baby, that there was no heartbeat and the baby had died. And I just remember thinking, like, was in shock. I think we were both in shock because we really didn't know, like, what to think or feel. And we went to see the doctor, and he told me that I would have a DNC the next day, which was Thanksgiving. And I was thinking, we have planned this community Thanksgiving dinner. We're, integral part in this. But I thought, well, we just can't help it. This is what we have to do. And so we scheduled the DNC for the next day on Thanksgiving. And part of me was glad that we had started the Thanksgiving dinner because I focused on that. I was supposed to do the green beans and the potatoes. And so I focused all of things I had to get done.
Yeah, because you went ahead and made that stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, I went ahead and made the green beans and the mashed potatoes for the Thanksgiving dinner, and we were sad that we wasn't going to get to attend it because we were giving up our Thanksgivings with our family because we had this, or I had this thought that we were struggling that year. Like, we didn't know if we were going to be able to afford Thanksgiving, and I just thought, well, is there other families out there that are struggling that might not be able to have Thanksgiving? And so that's why we started the community Thanksgiving dinner. Um, um, so I went in for the DNC. I think I lost a lot of blood. I had to have my first ever blood transfusion. I remember feeling really weak afterwards. We did have a nice Thanksgiving dinner. That's the first time I've ever liked hospital food. It tasted really good. It was like a breading on the chicken. It was sort of like dressing. Anyway, I still can taste it in my mouth. It was so good. But this was at St. Vincent's Hospital, and I had used Henderson and Walton. And this was with my new doctor, Dr. Bill Hudson. I was with Charles Hudson, his dad, and then I started using him after his dad retired. And then, so our next miscarriage, well, let me say that we ended up naming that baby Rocket because we have weird names.
Yeah.
And we had Stone, and we thought this might be a boy, and we just thought Rock and Stone and Rocket. We liked that, weirdness.
Right. Yeah. And we had Stone, then we had two girls, and we thought, okay, this one probably be a
This
boy.
one's probably a boy. We
Yeah.
thought.
And by Rocket, it wasn't Rocket. It was ROCK space
IT.
capital IT. That's his name.
And so when you have a DNC, you don't get any part of your baby back. It's just, you don't have that anymore. So that was really sad for me, just to not have anything to. I had the first ultrasound, I think, and that's all I had of that baby.
Right.
And then I got pregnant maybe, a year later, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was about a year later.
And so we had, that was scary getting pregnant again after experiencing the first miscarriage. And so we went in, you're still thinking, what's the hopes for this baby? What's it going to be? What you're going to name it? But then you're also very fearful and scared. And that first time going in and hearing the heartbeat and being like, okay, this is good. And then going in for that second time when you knew that the first baby didn't have a heartbeat and they couldn't find a heartbeat again. And we were thinking, is this deja vu? Like, what's going on? It went exactly like the first time. And so we were just devastated that we lost that baby. And again, I had to have a DNC and didn't get any part of what we thought was a girl this time. We named her True Love.
Yeah.
And so I do have the ultrasound of her too. And then we got pregnant maybe 6 months or a year later.
Yeah, it was pretty quick after
It was
that.
pretty quick. And when I found out I was pregnant, you'd think you'd be so happy, but I was immediately fearful and scared, having been through that twice. And I was even afraid to tell James because I knew he was going to be so scared too. But we went into that pregnancy being fearful and scared. And the joy you have when you find out you're pregnant, and that you just feel like it's going to be wonderful. Well, I didn't have that joy. I just had fear.
When
So
people listening don't some of them know our story because like we told it a lot back in the day when this was all happening, and I was at the newspaper and stuff. But some people may not realize either, why did y'all keep getting pregnant if you're having these issues? Why did you keep doing that?
Okay, so when
And this wasn't a case of James keeping Andrea barefoot and pregnant in
no,
the
was not,
kitchen.
this was not James keeping me pregnant. It was we both decided as a family that we wanted to give that over to God, that part of our lives, because we had Stone, which I was ready to get pregnant with Stone. And I pushed James because we had a 5-year plan.
We had a 5-year plan.
It
It turned into a 3-year
plan.
Yeah.
But we got pregnant with Stone, and then pregnant with Breeze. Didn't expect to get pregnant that fast after having Stone. I think it was 2 years.
We were extremely fertile.
Yes. And then with Daisy, before Daisy, we had decided that we were just going to give that part of our lives over to God because my plan was to have a boy and a girl, and I had those, so I thought that's what I want. That's all I want.
We're both happy with that.
Yeah, and then me and James both just had this feeling in our hearts that God was wanting us to have more children, and so we stopped, preventing it happening. And then I got pregnant with Daisy and had the best pregnancy with her. It was just like no sickness. It was like I felt happy all the time, no depression. It was just a wonderful pregnancy altogether. What was I thinking about?
Well, now we were just kind of letting people know this is why we kept getting pregnant even after these miscarriages and stuff. And by then. And by now, if people don't realize that the Phillips family is quite stubborn, then it was like, well, we're going to have a baby. It really wasn't that, but
it wasn't that. It was. And so when I got pregnant with Meadow, it was a lot of fear, and then telling our family, which was even more. They were really fearful for us.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And they were like, "Why do y'all keep getting pregnant?"
Yeah, they thought we were crazy for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then halfway through Meadow's pregnancy, we went for the first ultrasound and heartbeat. It was good. We got all the way until we were going to find out what the baby was.
Yeah, you got to about 20 weeks
Not
think.
well, no, 20 weeks. 20 weeks was when you find out
Yeah.
if it's going to be a boy or a girl. And we thought we've gotten through that first trimester, so things were looking good. And the doctor was like, "You've gotten through that first trimester. Things are looking good. More positive. It's unlikely that you'll have a miscarriage." So we went to find out if the baby was going to be a boy or girl, um, and they didn't find the heart. They couldn't find a heartbeat,
Right.
and it was no. We went straight to the ultrasound.
Yeah, we went straight
We
to
went
ultrasound.
straight to
We
the
didn't even.
ultrasound to find out if it was a boy or girl.
Yeah.
And the ultrasound technician, instead of telling us what it was,
But they didn't even have to tell us because both of us had been through this a couple times already.
we could
We knew
tell
what
by
to
her
look for.
face.
Well, we knew what to
We
look
knew
for
what to
on the
look
ultrasound.
for, and it was taking a long time.
Yeah.
And we knew, like, we didn't hear the heartbeat.
Right.
And so when she told us, I think we were
Yeah.
but we were heartbroken.
Yeah.
I looked at you, and you were heartbroken.
Oh yeah.
I just, I felt so bad for you. Like, I was heartbroken, but I felt so bad for you.
Yep.
Um,
That's the last time you did that, wasn't it? Last time you felt bad for me.
Because I know how much it hurts you when we lost the other two, and I know this hurt you because we had gotten so far along.
Yeah.
And we found out it was a girl. She did tell us it was a girl,
Right.
and we named her Meadow, and then we ended up naming her Hope because we had the hope that that it was going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I had to go in and actually deliver Meadow, which was very tough because when you go through your other deliveries, you're getting, a baby to take home with you.
Right.
And delivering Meadow, it was terrible. It was like traumatizing, torturous. I wouldn't wish it on anybody to have to deliver a baby that's stillborn.
Right.
And so my doctor, Dr. Bill, he was upset. He was crying with us. Like, it hurt him bad that this is my third time not to have a baby with him, and not with him, but
Yeah. We know.
with the doctor.
We know how much you like Dr. Hudson.
And so my mom and my dad and my brother and sister-in-law all got to see the baby Meadow, and then it was at St. Vincent's. So I had the chaplain, not the chaplain, but was she a chaplain?
Yeah. Yeah.
She came in and prayed with me, and then we had time with Meadow, just to hold her and tell her goodbye, and she prayed with us, and she, asked us if we were ready to let her go, and we said yes. And then you never think when you're pregnant or any time when you're as young as we were what, 30, something like that.
At that time, yeah.
And you never think you're going to plan a funeral. And we had no idea how to do anything like that. Like, we had no money.
Right.
So we thought, was that going to cost a lot? We didn't know what to do. And they said that we could cremate her. And they
had a shrine that they put the.
They have a shrine where they could, because we didn't know if
yeah.
we were going to cremate her and then just take the ashes with us or what. And so they had a shrine where they would put her, and we could go visit there. And we ended up going there and visiting it once. It was at St. Vincent's West.
St. Vincent's East.
St. Vincent's East. And it's just a cabinet where they keep the ashes, or they're supposed to keep the ashes.
Yeah.
And we just went there and spent time with her, and just let her know how much we loved her and let her go. But I also was going to talk about St. Vincent's gave me this box, which I loved and meant so much to me. In it, you have her fingerprints and her footprints.
Can you hold that up? See, look how tiny those are. Like next to Andrea, her footprints are about the same size as Andrea's
About my
nose,
thumb.
or thumb.
About the size of my thumb is her footprints and handprints.
And that's how tiny she was when we were able to see her and hold her. And
When we got to hold her,
Yeah.
she was so tiny, like she fit in your hand.
yeah,
But I want to say, even at 19 weeks, that she was fully a baby.
right, yeah,
She had hands, feet. She had, everything. And then they gave me this book. It's Permission to Grieve, Finding Healing and Hope After a Miscarriage. That was nice. And then, I'll talk about that later. They gave me this little booties. It says Threads of Love. They're so cute. And they gave me, I think the Knitting Nannies made this blanket, knitted this blanket. And they gave me a little dress. And this dress it would be way too big for
Yeah,
her.
yeah, it would have been huge.
And this little teddy bear. And so that was really sweet and special. I felt like I felt like St. Vincent's did an amazing job of just taking care of you and making it special for you. And and they also have a separate wing for mothers who have lost their baby, so you're not around other mothers that have their baby and
Yeah.
so
So
they
you're not bringing them down, and they're not bringing you down.
yeah, so they take that in consideration.
And St. Vincent's, a lot has changed as far as like now UAB owns St. Vincent's and that sort of thing. But back then, when it was a Catholic hospital, the Catholic Church cares so much about life and a small child, and for it to be a child that nobody really got to meet, nobody got to spend time with. They treated that life so special, and that meant a lot to me. And all hospitals do, like everywhere that we've had a child and that we've been involved with other people having children, they do. But it was just, I don't know, there was something special about being at St. Vincent's when we had lost a little one like that.
Yes. Do you want to tell them the dream
No,
you
no,
had?
keep going. I'll tell
Okay.
that. We'll take a break before I tell that. But
Okay, I wanted to read a poem that meant a lot. They give you this booklet, and it has a lot of stuff in it about miscarriage, other people who've had miscarriages, and just their wisdom as you go through the grieving process. This poem was called "Leaf and Teardrop." A growing leaf, green in color, has fallen prematurely. It has separated from the tree of life and landed in a pool of water, of many tears. It is a dark moment. A human tear lingers on the freshly fallen leaf before it turns brown. Fallen, drifting aimlessly on a sea of grief and pain, the leaf cradles a teardrop, offers refuge, embodies hope. Just as winter awakens to spring, our deepest sorrow harbors the seed of hope renewed. Hope Renewed by Susan Ring. That meant a lot to me reading that poem, just that there was hope. And her name was Meadow Hope. So just the hope that we'll meet her one day and we'll see her one day, as well as Rocket and True. Um, so not knowing, who they are, we'll eventually find out who they are, and they'll know us as their mom and dad.
yeah. Well, and just to remind everybody, we're talking about Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, and the how Andrea and I have been through that, and understand anybody who's gone through that. Locally, there's also groups that help. I know the hospital is really good here with helping people who have gone through, but like Halo is a group that provides the type of things
Yeah.
that Andrea showed in the
We
box
found
that
out
we
about
got.
Halo right after Meadow.
Right.
And we were so glad that there was an organization in Walker County that would provide resources and hope for other people that have. And we, like James said, we had no idea how many people has had miscarriages, and how they just reached out to us and told us how they knew what we were going through, and we had a connection with so many people that we had no idea.
When we had a lot of people who were even fairly good friends of ours, at least people that I knew through the newspaper and had known for a long time, and didn't even know they had been through that.
Yeah,
Because back in the day, it was something that people didn't talk about.
they didn't
a
talk
lot.
about it. And I had family members. My grandmother had several miscarriages, and my aunt had a miscarriage, and
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And those would be good things to know for hereditary reasons.
For hereditary, yeah.
But yeah, and Halo does a great job, and that's Matt and Brandy Woods, and we didn't even know them at that time, and then got to know them later on. But they still do that. And I know when one of our employees at the Mountain Eagle went through Leadership Walker County, which is going on right now, their project was for Halo and helped to get the things that they give to people here locally. So that's a great group too. But I think it is a good time to take a break. I know we're a little more heavy today than normally on Live at 9. I'll try to make at least a few jokes as we go along. But we'll take a break real quick to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back to talk a little bit more about Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, and let you guys know ways that you can help others. And I'll tell a story that happened as well the night after we lost Meadow, that has been a lot of other people as well. So we'll share that when we come back from break. We'll be right back on Live at 9 here on WJLX.
And she was just, the perfect little baby. That might have changed later on, but she was the perfect little baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and so we were really happy about that. I have to say that um, during the miscarriages, one of the hardest things for me was knowing that we were going to have to go back and tell Stone and Breeze and Daisy because they were so excited. They were getting another brother or sister, and they were wanting that baby so bad. And to tell them that that baby had gone to heaven to be with God, with Jesus, and they can't really understand that. But I remember it really affected. Stone has the biggest heart and softest heart, and it really affected him that he wasn't going to get his brother or sister and not see them. And I think it affected Breeze too. Daisy, she wasn't old enough to really affect her, I don't think.
Right.
But they bounce back. They bounce back probably easier than we do.
They're Phillipses. We're a gritty bunch.
After that, we moved to Mississippi. Should I go ahead and tell about that?
Yeah, let's go through those real quick.
Okay. Um, so we got pregnant when we lived in Mississippi. Um, that pregnant didn't last very long. And I was worried because I was changing doctors. I had a new doctor. We had Dr. Honey, which is a specialist, and she started taking ultrasounds at 5 weeks, and we saw the heartbeat at 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And that just shows that a baby can have a heartbeat at 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we go in, not monthly, but like every other week, we go in and check the heartbeat. And she put me on some really good prenatal vitamins. And I really credit her for getting me as far along as where I was. And then Dr. Hudson took over after that for Joy. And so I want to thank them so much for helping me during that time. But when we were in Mississippi, we had a new doctor, and they wouldn't start you out on prenatal vitamins until you got so far along. And they wouldn't, see you. They'd see you every month. They wouldn't see you. And even though I told them I passed, they still didn't.
Healthcare in Mississippi was, I mean, a lot of people complain here,
Mm-hmm.
but the healthcare in Mississippi was so much worse than in Alabama.
Yes. We're very blessed that we have Birmingham, or even here in Walker County, we're blessed. But Birmingham and all the resources, like we knew people in Mississippi that would come all the way over here to go to UAB.
Right.
So we're very blessed with healthcare here. So I lost that baby. I think it was 6 weeks. We let Stone name that baby, and he named him Shadow because we thought it might be a boy. I
Right.
just had that feeling. And then I got pregnant not too long after that. I think it was maybe a year after that. And then lost that baby. Oh, it was sooner than 6 weeks, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
as soon as I found out, and I went to the doctor.
Yeah, it was quick.
It was quick. So he sent me home because I didn't have to have a DNC with that one because it was so early on. He thought I could just did they induce like some kind of labor to?
I don't think so. I think it was just all natural
It
thing.
might have been all natural because it did take a while once I went home to have the miscarriage at home, and that was terrible because I would not recommend that at all. They should have done the
Yeah.
DNC because I bled like I kept asking James, "Is this normal? Should I bleed this much?" And I'm not going to go into the gory details, but I was hemorrhaging.
Yeah. If anybody's ever seen the movie Terrifier, we had more blood going on than any of those movies.
I was at home. I was hemorrhaging. I was about to pass out. The children were at home with us. They were terrified. And I told James, I've got to go to the emergency room. And we went to our little emergency room that was there in Kosciuszko. I don't know if you would even call it an emergency room, but still, it was very scary because I didn't know, like, to see that much blood, not to get gory or anything, was scary.
Yeah, I mean, I was honestly scared to death that I was going to lose her because that's how much blood was going on. And then we had to wait. We had to wait so long to get you transferred from Kosciuszko to Starkville because they only had like two ambulances.
Two ambulances.
And they
for
were
like
already
two
off on.
families
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
And yeah,
It was
it was
crazy.
just,
So
we had to wait so long. I thought the ambulance isn't going to make it here. I'm going to die before the ambulance gets here.
yeah,
But they made it, and we went to Starkville. They were scared because they kept checking my blood pressure the whole time, and they were worried. Um, I get there before James because he was behind the ambulance and taking longer. And they told me they were going to have to do emergency DNC, and I was like, yes, just do it. And James wasn't even there yet,
yeah,
and so we did that. I was so weak after having that DNC. I think I couldn't hardly walk for like a month after that because I was so weak. They didn't give me a blood transfusion, but I felt like I needed one. Um, and so that was our last miscarriage. And I thought that I'd had 5 miscarriages now, and I almost lost my life. And I thought, God, I've given you my body, my life, but I cannot not be here for my children. I had Stone, Breeze, and Daisy and Joy to raise, and if I left them, like, they wouldn't have their mom, and I
right,
could not do that to them.
right.
So for me, I just told God, like, I have to be here for those kids. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, but then, long story short, we moved back to Jasper,
Mm-hmm.
and in 2017, we find out that we're probably late 2016. We find out that we're expecting. We're 39 years old at this point in time,
Yeah.
and we have Zuzu in August and it was a total surprise. We didn't think we'd be having another baby. We had
Yes.
Zuzu in August of 2017. As I said, we were both 39. We were both so tired. After the first few days of her being here, even though she was a great baby. But then I think it was 2 days after she was born, I called and scheduled a vasectomy. So we were taking control
We
of that.
took
again.
back control.
Yeah, it was enough.
Because
We felt good about it.
Zuzu was a surprise. We thought
Yeah.
we were done. Like Joy was going to be the last one.
Yeah.
Um,
We still feel like Zuzu's grandparents more than her parents sometimes.
and let me just say that raising children when they're young, you think this is as hard as it's going to get, but we were so wrong.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
As they get older, it gets so much harder.
Yeah, these 20-year-olds and teenagers, they're rough sometimes. But we love them and wouldn't trade it for anything.
No.
Now, we're getting lower on time.
Okay.
Um,
You want to go ahead and tell your story?
Yeah, I mean, and Andrea's told our story as far as everything that happened as far as infant loss and things like that, and as I said a minute ago, like her faith never wanders. Like she's always been very strong, and when we lost Meadow, and it was such a just punch in the gut to see the person that I love more than anybody have to give birth to a child that was lifeless, and for us not to be able to, like, that whole day after they took her, it was just like Christmas morning and somebody took the present you always wanted, you know. And I didn't know how to handle that, honestly. Like, it was really tough. It was tougher even than the miscarriages. And then that night, I didn't think I would sleep at all. I didn't think I would sleep. There were so many different emotions. I was so hurt. I was so angry. But I did. I fell asleep, and I had the most vivid dream I think that I've ever had. I may have had a few lately, but this was the most vivid dream ever. And I felt like it was actually sent to me. And I woke up the next morning, and I was just typing away. I had a cell phone at that time. It wasn't smartphone. It was, the little, you got to hit the button 3 times to put a letter out and that kind of thing. And I'm texting one of my best friends who was actually our pastor at the time, and just telling him about this dream. And as I'm texting it, I'm pouring tears. Like, there's tears all over my phone, like I've spilt a cup of water on the phone. And I ended up writing about it. We were here. We were in Jasper then. I ended up writing about it in the Mountain Eagle, maybe a few days after it all happened, and I've wrote about it since then in Mississippi. I've wrote about it in the Community Journal while we were doing that, and it's still on there. If you go to community-journal.com and just search Playground, or I'll put it on the comment section of this live video on WJLX's page. I'll comment it on there. But it was a dream that has given me a lot of comfort, and then I felt like it was given to me to be able to give to other people. So pretty much any time in my life since then, if I've known of a couple that's had a miscarriage or a loss, even losing a little one that's a little older than that, I've always, I don't send it to them that day, but later on down the line when I feel like it's the right time, I'll always send this dream to them for them to read, because I think it does give a lot of comfort. But I just wanted to read it, or I'm not reading, I'm going to tell it, but I've got it pulled up on the community journal so I can make sure that I hit all the things in the right order, because I haven't told it in a while, even though it's still vivid in my memory. I know I'll miss it. But, this happened, let's see, this would have happened in 15 years ago. Is when it all went down. And I wrote this afterwards. But sometimes the dreams, it's just so much more. And this, I had one of these dreams. The first thing I remember is floating through the most beautiful blue sky. As I soared through the clouds, I noticed green grass below and what looked like the largest playground in the world. I say it was large because I was hovering above and it continued as far as I could see. I can compare it to an aerial view of like the Great Wall of China, like where you just see it as you're floating above. The closer I got, it was obvious that it was a massive playground, and there was a sea of children playing on it. I remember the playground being extremely colorful, and it looked to be handicap accessible. I mean, this is something I remember seeing about it. Kind of like the Apex playground here in Jasper, I think, is what the vision probably came from, but a massive version of it. But there weren't any handicapped children. There were all kinds of ramps, swings, and slides. The rumble of the children playing was a beautiful sound. The noise of it all came together almost like a song or music. I started walking through the playground and was drawn to an area where I felt was its center. With children running and playing all around me, I noticed a man sitting on a park bench. He had dark skin. He looked kind of like Bob Marley, but instead of the dreadlocks, he had bushy brown hair. I don't remember the exact clothes he was wearing, but it was something athletic. It was like a T-shirt and basketball shorts or nylon pants. He looked like he had just been enjoying the playground, just like having fun out there, As our eyes met, I knew who he was. Seated just below the man, with their backs to me, were three children. In the midst of the motion and the noise, they were just sitting there. It was like they were waiting for something or someone. By this point, I was only 10 feet or so away from the group. The man turned his head a little and smiled at me. He raised his arms forward, motioning the children to turn towards me. As they turned, my heart started to race. I knew the trio and realized they were mine. They saw me and realized the same thing. They immediately leapt to their feet and began to run towards me. I was already running to their direction, and I swept them up in my arms in the biggest bear hug imaginable. The noise that surrounded me was completely drowned out by the sounds of these three little children exclaiming, "Daddy." We hugged and we danced. There were no tears, unlike now. There were no tears, only laughter. That's all I remember. There are a few other small details I noticed. The man playing with the other children as we celebrated our reunion. I remember running, jumping, and dancing. I also remember it seems like so much was said, but there were no words. As I woke up the next morning, the dream was all I could think about. It was so vivid. It wasn't like most dreams where you remember it in a fog. It was like coming back from a great trip and reliving those memories that were built. That dream took place on that Thursday night after Andrea lost our third child due to miscarriage in the past year and a half. The day before, I'd watched this precious little girl be born, and I knew that I'd never get to take care of her. I knew I'd never get to hug her. I'd never dance with her, and I'd never hear her beautiful laugh. I was hurt. I was angry. And it didn't make sense, and it still doesn't make sense. When I wrote this a little bit later, it still doesn't make sense today, honestly. I believe God saw my heart, and he felt my pain. And I firmly believe that he used that dream to give me the chance to not only hug and dance with Little Meadow Hope Phillips, but he also let me do the same with her brother and her sister that were in heaven before her. I got to hear their laughter and play with them on the largest playground anyone could ever imagine. I couldn't tell you exactly what those three looked like, but I'll never forget their little voices. I'll never forget hearing them call me daddy. The Creator has blessed me with 5 awesome children to take care of here, and he's also blessed me with now 5 little ones that he rescued for me from here. I still can't make sense of losing a little life, but my short trip to heaven's playground has given me peace about what I don't understand. And that's exactly what it did. It gave me peace at a time when I needed peace. It still gives me peace today. It gives me peace even thinking about my own death experiences. I don't remember getting to go to that playground again in the last couple of years when my heart stopped, but I'm pretty sure that's the first place I would visit would be that playground. And I'm very thankful for that dream. And I'm also very thankful. I wanted to finish this show today. Anybody who's gone through this sort of thing, feel free to reach out to myself or Andrea. We're always happy to talk to people. We're always happy to tell our story. And then also, I didn't talk about it yesterday because I don't think I could. Yesterday was 1 year since my buddy Brett Elmore passed away. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be doing this today if it wasn't for Brett. Mm-hmm. And he meant a lot. He was there. He was there during those times when we lost the kids. Mm-hmm. He was there when I was dying 17 times. He was there at 4 o'clock in the morning where I didn't know. I didn't have anybody else that I could talk to, and he'd be awake. And he hadn't been there in this last year, and that's been really tough. Yeah. But Live at 9, even though we didn't call it that, it's definitely something that he and I had kicked around. He had told me many times after all my heart issues of, hey man, we got to get you in the studio, and like you need to be interviewing people, and you need to be telling people's stories. So that was something that we planned on and didn't make it happen before he left. But I feel like he's really proud of what we're doing.
Brett had a big heart. Like you said, he called and checked on me when he found out I had cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Just made sure I was doing okay. So, yeah.
All he did was think about other people. He wasn't a perfect guy by any stretch. He had plenty of flaws, and he'd be the first one to tell you he had plenty of flaws. But Brett Elmore had a big heart, and he did. He cared about people. He cared about this community, and he's the reason that as soon as he passed away, it was this. It was a year ago, and as soon as he did, all I knew I could do to help was to be able to call a football game. And I called down to the station. I said, I don't know what's going on down there, but I'll volunteer to do the game. And I'm so thankful that Jonathan Timmons and Woody Wilson have allowed me to continue to do that. And I get very emotional when I hear somebody say that I'm the voice of the Vikings now. That I don't consider myself the voice of the Vikings. I think that's always going to be Brett. But I'm very thankful that they let me do it, and I can't do it near as well as he does, but it really has helped me through this year, and just to be involved with this station and the things that we're doing in the community. And that's why I wanted to do a show like this today for anybody who's out there that has struggled through something like this. It's a good way for me to make it through it myself, and I hope it's a good way that other people can get through it too.
I'll just say, you coming in to do the radio station has definitely helped you, but the force behind it was doing it for Brett. Like, you wanted to make sure that just things went on, and thank goodness Jonathan Timmons came in and kept it going. So
yeah, I don't even like that guy.
We're very thankful to him to just keep the radio station going, and it be Brett's legacy.
That's right. Hey, we've butted up too close to Woody's show, and I'm sorry for that. But until tomorrow I've got a local author coming in. We'll be posting that on our Facebook page. Vic Carey, he writes horror stories. So with it being October, I thought that'd be a good thing to get a horror author in. So he'll be coming in tomorrow morning on Live at 9.
That'll definitely be a change from today.
It will be a change of pace. We try to keep it positive, and I really do try to have more laughs. But I guess the tears needed to come today. So thanks everybody for listening, and until tomorrow, be kind and love, and we'll see you tomorrow morning on Live at 9 here on WJLX.